over here on the left top side. We're taking a look. No, seriously, did I really just do that? Did I really just do that? No, I'm really not very good at this. Alrighty, so Cooler Master Storm's Revival is our red Zerg spawning on the left top side of the map. We should be good to go now. As over here in the right bottom side, we are looking at the beautiful Protoss plays of CJ and his herO. I just put his clan tag in it just to be sure, because not everybody watches as much StarCraft as some of us do. Not everybody knows that small H big O means CJ and his herO. Just to get the confusion out of the way. And of course, if I give CJ and his herO a clan tag, I should give one to CM Storm Revival as well. I have to show even love to everybody. It's going to be a Nexus on the low ground for herO, followed up by a gateway in the main base. So very economic opening by him. Not the most greedy one, as he did scout, and you know, scouting does cost a few resources. Revival on the other end is aiming for a gasless opening so far after his hatch first opening. Now, Revival in general is a pretty straight up Zerg. If you guys are not that familiar with Revival, which you should be, because he's been playing in a lot of foreign tournaments ever since joining Cooler Master Storm. He's of course teammates of Polt in a weird way. Everybody always thinks like Violet. I guess Polt is sort of like on two teams. He's on a team and an agency, which I guess is good enough. Especially if you're Polt and you're still posting results like a boss left and right. Just making sure everything's looking good. Yes, it is. Anyways, Revival is the type of Zerg that likes to just get a good economy going early on. He doesn't really cheese very often in this matchup, especially not early game. But after that, as soon as he has his 3 bases saturated, he's a very fun, entertaining Zerg player to watch. Kind of similar to Violet in a way. The only difference is that Revival will often make Swarmos when he feels like he needs them to survive a certain phase in the game, while Violet will make Swarmos and then continue making Swarmos and make a lot of them. Kind of like probably what you guys saw Snoot do earlier today. Unfortunately, I didn't see that series, as I can appreciate myself some good old Swarmos play. If I'm, as long as I'm not the Protoss in the game, I love watching me some Swarmos action. 2 happy Zerglings from Revival will make their way into the natural of herO, who actually doesn't have anything yet. He has a single Zealot that's marching across the map, but his probe micro is on the money. Look at these relentless probe killers, getting 2 kills. The Stargater's follow-up is, you know, not. I don't really want to use the word interesting, as it's kind of standard. We see it so often in this matchup. Most of the time, it's just for a single Oracle into, you know, whatever aggression is going to follow, but most of the time 3 bases. The Zealot finds an exposed queen over here, but with the Zerglings the queen should be more than fine. I think that the Zealot is going to win this fight. If the Zerglings wouldn't have shown up, the Zealot would have won. I guess the only good news for herO is that he gets, I won't say he gets the confirmation that Revival was going up to 3 bases, which I really thought he would see, but somehow he did not see. So surprise. Oh wait, I did something wrong. I know I did something wrong. Alright, now we're back with the scoreboard. That looks better. See, I was thrown off my game. Something was wrong. Sorry, guys. Someone said, please no Swarmos. But like I said, Revival is the type of Swarmos play that's actually quite fun. And I'm really not saying that because I'm casting and like, oh, this is StarCraft 2. Everything is supposed to be fun and everything is the most amazing game in the world. But I've cast a lot of very fun ZVPs of Revival, which included a couple of Swarmos, but in a way he makes them look like a sort of mobile unit. He is burrows, on burrows, sieges, on sieges. He's kind of like all over the place. This Oracle finds this base, and because that Queen took a little bit of a beating already from that Zealot, it's actually a very easy pickup, and the Spore Crawler wasn't ready yet. So herO is getting a surprising amount of damage done with his Oracle. Actually, a dream amount of damage. He's getting, wow. This is what Protoss dreams are made of. That's not what Nathanius likes to say when something good happens for the Terran player, but he is right, because if I open up with an Oracle, I'm already happy if I don't just straight up lose it. herO kills the Queen that was softened up by this Zealot early on, and then went on to kill 9 drones. That is absolutely phenomenal. Now, I mentioned Swarmos before, and I said Revival likes to make Swarmos when he feels like he needs them. This is the type of opening where you could say that a Zerg player could definitely use a Swarmos in his life. Interestingly enough, he's aiming for upgraded or melee carapace upgrades. Melee upgrades and carapace upgrades on the way as well. It's kind of interesting. I haven't really seen Revival play this a whole lot, and in my book he's a Roach player, so to see him go for this Zergling-centric style It's a little bit surprising, but I do like it. 9 more drones on the way for Revival as well. It's gonna be, you know, despite losing a lot of workers early on, he's still in an absolutely phenomenal position when it comes to the economic state of this game. He's currently up 20 workers. Of course. Oh, okay. So herO is getting a few more gates than I thought he would. He's also getting a lot of... Okay, so Revival's in a lot of trouble. This makes sense. herO has actually not been prioritizing chrono boosting probes out. herO has been focusing on a lot of other things, like getting a lot of gateways, getting Blink on the way, getting +2. And he already has these 7 sentries. You know, if this doesn't work, he can still transition, because he's going to have +2 Blink Stalkers. He did really not bring a probe? I really thought he brought a probe. I'm a little bit shocked, because I think if he would have brought a probe over here, he was able to fight. He's able to warp in like 6-7 Zealots out of these 7 gateways that he has. He's going to do very, very well. Forces out a lot of force fields, and herO recalls immediately. Of course, the next poke is still going to be strong, but I think, imagine if herO has a pylon over here and he warps in 7 Zealots. +1 before +1 Carapace is ready for the Zerg player. It's going to be a little hashtag dicey. Like some people brought the signs to the Red Bull Battlegrounds. We were digging them. Cheerfuls is truly one of those things. It makes being at live events very fun. People are way more creative than I've ever been in my life, that's for sure. Oracle is still using Envision. I mean, like, that push wasn't a fail by herO, not at all. He didn't really lose anything, and he pushed the creep back a little bit, but I just think he could have done more. Hive is already on the way for Revival, and he's also getting his Spire, and he's getting Penetrant Glance. Revival is getting pretty much everything, other than what I normally see him get. Like, if you would have showed me this game and you wouldn't show me the name tag, there's no way I would ever say that this is Revival playing. Because this is very, very different than the Revival that I've seen over the last 6 to 9 months. I'm a little bit worried, because I think styles like this are often very fragile. 1 or 2 Protoss posts can just accidentally mean the end of the game. He does have these 1-1 upgrades now, so these Zerglings are going to survive a little bit longer, but +2 is about to finish up for these Zealots, and this is very frustrating for Revival to engage. I'm not sure, I'm really not sure how this one is going to play out. I have not been in this scenario a whole lot myself. These Zerglings are going to try to jump on these Zealots and sentries. Now more Zerglings coming. I think herO is not paying attention. The force fields are a little late. A lot of Zerglings squeeze through the force fields as well. Now a few Roaches will show up. So I think Revival should be a-okay over here. Lost a lot of Zerglings, but now Zerglings are okay to use. A couple of force fields going down. That is a good fungal. Can I say beautiful fungal, guys? Just one time. Can I get away with it? It's a pretty beautiful fungal. He's using 3 fungals now on a bunch of Zealots, and that might actually be small overkill. During all this, let's take a look at the main base. There's a lot of Stalkers, which have Blink, by the way, are being warped in. There's like a rush up to Greater Spire going down, which is very interesting. That's not something I've seen very often. herO spots it. herO is probably a little bit confused by it. herO does, of course, already have 1 Stargate, because he opened up with an Oracle early on, so he could get a Fleet Beacon and a 2nd Stargate, and I really wouldn't mind him doing that. Because dealing with Broodlords, if you don't have Tempest, is very difficult, to say the least. So I'm not sure. He has money for it, but he's not doing it yet. He's getting more Immortals, actually, which really surprised me. He could also just think, I'm so far ahead, I'm just going to completely outplay Revive. I'm going to try to be everywhere at once. But if you try to deal with Broodlords, when you don't... Oh, there's a fungal that connects with a lot of units, but I'm not sure if it's good enough in the long run. Look at these Queens actually going to down. The Queens are providing so much additional damage. A lot of force fields are going down, but I think Revival is very satisfied with how this is going so far. These Archons in the back are tricky, and there are a lot of Zealots warped into the main base. This Hive is, of course, a lot of surface area, and there are 10, 12, 14 Zealots ramming away at this Hive. This Warp Prism will get picked up. Will there be Queens saving the day? Queens are too far away. This Hive is going to fall. All the Broodlords will mark. So herO knows about this now. Revival on 74 drones against the 68 of Siege Enters herO. It's a pretty fun game of StarCraft 2. It's also a pretty bizarre game. It's like, I must say, a lot of the games today have been a little bit out there, which is a good thing, because it shows that the game is still not still. Just now we see that 2nd Stargate being wiped in for herO. I would still love to see him get a Fleet Beacon. I ask and I shall receive. Few minutes too late. If Revival sits back, he's going to lose. Just a couple of days ago I saw a very interesting, it wasn't really a discussion, but okay, let's focus on these Zealots first. Since these zealots from Siege Engine herO will be able to do quite a bit of damage on the north side of the map over here as well. I think Revival should be able to save his hatch if the queens show up. Oh no, queens are so far away as well that another hatchery will fall, and during all this, herO is going to blink forward. He's going to blink on top of a couple of these infestors. So most of these infestors do get picked off. It wasn't for free. herO is playing with fire though, like he's harassing everywhere. He's playing beautiful StarCraft, don't get me wrong. But he still has to deal with all these broodlords. Just 2 or 3 Tempests is going to be enough. Then we see Tempest number 1 starting up and Tempest number 2. These Zerglings actually trade pretty okay against Zealots with +3 upgrade because the Zerglings have 2-2. No cancel on this hatchery, so that wasn't a complete waste of warp in, but... did herO just make... Nah, with 2 Tempests, I'm actually not sure. How many queens do we look? This is really bizarre. This is actually very tense. 9 queens. He could basically transfuse for very, very long. What else does herO have? herO only has 63 army supply. If this was Wings of Liberty, this is absolutely game over. In Heart of the Swarm, you have Tempest, and Tempest 3-shot the Broodlord. There you can see 2 shots almost kills it. So then 1 more volley will kill it. But now we have Queens. He could drop Transfuses forever, and he can keep the Broodlords alive a lot longer than they normally would stay alive. The Transfuses are good so far. The Queens have started working on these Tempests, and if one of these Tempests dies, Siege Engine herO might just die here, which would be really unnecessary. Well, there's only 1 Tempest left. There are Queens and Broodlings are just going to town. He does have 3 Broodlings now, and that is actually enough to one-shot these Broodlings. 3 Tempests, I should say. Sorry guys, I'm like losing my mind over here. It's really hard to transfuse in the middle of a Tempest volley. It's borderline impossible, so... I think that, okay, one Tempest did die, so now you can start transfusing these Broodlords again, but... The Broodlord count has been dwindling. Tempests are so extremely strong against Broodlords. For a second it looked like Revival was going to be able to do it, but if there are Tempests out on the map, if there is a Stargate with a Fleet Beacon out on the map, you know, I'm a Protoss player, so on one hand I should really not complain, but I do think that Tempests are a little bit too good against Broodlords. So I would love to see the Broodlords at least still have some sort of a use in this game. Because it's kind of insane that 2 Tempests can just turn around a 60 supply of army deficit. At the same time, herO is still harassing on the north side of the map, but this was pretty much the one attack that had to do it for Revival. All of his acts were in one basket. And of course, after he lost multiple bases early on, he couldn't really complement his army with a bunch of Corruptors, and that could have helped killing these Tempests. Or maybe, you know, before he lost his hive, he could have got a Viper out, but that's where things get very complicated and you walk around with even more fragile units. 10 Mutalisks coming the way. 350 Mutalist transition against a player that already has double Stargate and a Fleet Beacon. I'm not sure. I think herO can deal with this in many different ways. After dealing with that one push, that was pretty much the game-ending push. That was really the push that had to make it happen for Revival. Since it didn't, I think Siege Engine herO is in a phenomenal position now. Moving forward with a bunch of Stalkers, he has these Archons. The Zerglings will try to counterattack, try to pick up this pylon, but you know, just the Archons with +3 upgrades as well, they're going to have the time of their life, even against these pretty well upgraded Zerglings. This Revival is trying to find an opening. If he puts the Zerglings in hold position, he can definitely be annoying. He's buying time for himself, and that's good, because whenever you're transitioning into Mutalisks and you're buying time. You know, a minute ago I really did not believe in this Muta transition. Now the Mutalisk count is up to 19, he has 6 more on the way. With 27 Mutalisk, I suddenly believe that Revival can base trade again. Siege Engine herO has still not produced any Phoenixes at all. So, I mean, the Archons of course will kill the Mutalisk straight up, but maybe, just maybe, Revival can get a crazy... every Mutalisk is so important. He's still counterattacking as well with his Zerglings. It's very difficult to make this work, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to try to build it up yet, but in theory it's possible because herO is not building Phoenixes, and this Muta count is high enough to at least be very annoying, very rustling. They're going to find their way to this middle line. One cannon is not going to get the job done anymore. A couple of finers will get picked up as well. These Tempests are frustrating, but Malicious Core gets picked up as well. You can actually jump on top of the Tempest and he's going to be able to get one of them. He loses a lot of Mutalisk in the process though. I'm not sure if this was worth it. No, don't fight that. Archon getting so close as well, getting 1 or 2 juicy shots off. take a look at the income tab. It's 1300 minerals a minute for Revival against just 1100 for herO. And he's still mining off most of his extractors. I guess losing your bases is a good thing. Picks up an Archon there, gets an Immortal as well, gets a Sentry, gets a Stalker. This is the moment where he's probably gonna have to fly away again. He's still fighting and he's trading pretty okay, but he can't fight those Archons. He has to back off. 18 Mutalisks now against only 8 Stalkers, but the biggest problem is these 7 Archons. Those rolling blue balls. You know guys, blue balls are a problem in life, especially if you're a Mutalisk player. It's just not what you want to see. 9 Stalkers being wiped in the natural of CJNT's herO. He should still be in a good enough position, but that actually got a little scary there for a second. And Revival's still in it. He's still trying to, what are the upgrades? He has +1 on his Mutalisk as well. And the good thing is that like his Zergling counters are a little bit more intimidating than they normally are because they have 2 upgrades. Alright, and I think CJNT's herO is like, alright, I tried to take the complicated, oh my god, all this Mutalisk just flew into these Archons. So the 20 something Mutalisk that we were originally looking at is now just 19 Mutalisk. And I think that CJNT's herO tried to give himself like a handicap winning this game. He's like, alright, you have to win this game without using Phoenixes in range. And he was doing alright, but then at a certain point he's like, you know what, this is getting a little bit too complicated. I should just get a couple of Phoenixes out with any Impulse Crystals. And then I think my life is going to be a lot more better. Or a lot more beautiful. Or a lot better, just not more better, that sounds really bad. 4 Phoenixes right now start chipping away at these Mutas, and I would like to make this sound still very close, but I just don't think that Revival has the tech in the right place to keep this up. These Phoenixes are going to be extremely cost efficient. This is the phase in the game where Protoss units often shine, and Mutalisks look like helpless little birds that need a buff. We all know that's not the case. Let's pick up a Phoenix there. It's a nice dance for oh my god, the Tempest as well starts helping out. And we still have these Archons, and Revival just doesn't really have access to any unit that is good against the Archons. So GG is called, and CJNT's herO will win game number 1. Was a pretty fun game. It got very close in a certain point. I felt that CJNT's herO got a little too fancy with all of his RS, and at a certain point he's looking at like 63 army supply against 120 from the Zerg, which included like 8 or 9 Broodlords, and the Tempests were later than they could have been. So it was really close, but in the end, you know, he handled it actually pretty calm. He kept his stock. It was so beautiful. He just kept all his units tucked away in the corner. But I said this before, and this is obviously not the place to, you know, bring up a balance discussion or should I whine about balance. But I'm a Protoss player, so I feel like I'm sort of entitled to say this. Just a few days ago, Grubby made a tweet saying that like the big mothership should really not be abducted, and you know, I think yeah, that makes sense. And then TLO replied, and Broodlords also shouldn't be as expensive as they are. And I think that TLO had a very good point, because a unit that is that expensive should not either be like super hit or miss. You know, Ultralisk are very strong units, expensive units, and yes, they get counted by Immortals and Archons. But if you have Ultralisk and you complement them with, you know, whatever it is, maybe Infestors, Broodlords, or excuse me, Infestors or Vipers, and they're still pretty good. But the fact that like a Zerg player that can have 120 something supply gets close to a Protoss player that's like a 65, 70 army supply, and even though herO has been playing really good up to this point in the game, so I don't want to make it a complete balanced wine, but I don't think that 2 Tempests should be that extremely strong against 7 or 8 Broodlords. I think that is a little over the top. Of course, you know, I am very happy that we don't have the Wings of Liberty Broodlords anymore, the GG Lords. Nobody wants to see the Broodlord show up and being this impossible unit to kill. So in that way, of course, the Tempests are fantastic. But to make them that hopeless and helpless, that might be a small overkill as well. That's something that perhaps could be addressed in the future of StarCraft 2. Because I think, you know, when a player is down 60 army supply, it shouldn't be that easy to stabilize. Anyways, we're going to hop into game number 2. Just a little food for thought, I guess. As Revival is... Alright, let's go ahead and hop into the game. And like, you know, some people in China are saying like, oh, Revival's only mistake in the game was making Broodlords. Like, Broodlords... You know, I don't even know what I want to say about the Broodlords. Like, obviously, if the opponent doesn't have Stargate, they can be very strong, and I still lose to them because, you know, I can't get my Tempest out in time. But Siege Enter's herO, he had a lot of time to get Tempest out. He scouted the Greatest Spire almost immediately with those Blink Stalkers, and that really helped out a lot. Anyways, Cooler Master Storm's Revival is a Red Zerg spawning on the top side of Catalina. He is currently trailing 0-1 against this blue Protoss in the right bottom side of the map. That is CJ Enter's herO. The winner of this series will move on to play against Snoot. That is a series that will most likely be broadcasted on the main stream. I think this is the last series of the day that I will be doing here on the B stream. I still had a lot of fun, even though like I had like half a heart attack, and I get really sweaty and stuff when things go wrong, especially when it's on me. So I had a horrible first hour or something. I just couldn't get my mind straight at all. But after that, I still had a lot of fun casting a couple of these games. Some people were asking, hey Roddy, why not in Toronto? It's kind of a complicated story. Paul did ask me to be in IEM, or to be at IEM in Toronto, and I would have loved to be there because I love Canada, but it's just it's a little complicated right now, very long, uninteresting story. But obviously I will be following the tournament very closely. And the only plus side is that, you know, the last 17 days I've been casting way too much StarCraft, and I'm dreaming about StarCraft and stuff like that. So having a few days off is not too bad, and it's almost just as much fun to just like watch the games casually at home, eat some snacks, and don't worry about anything. Just watch the tournament. It's going to be fun too. But then you still asked me to do a little bit of coverage of day 1 and 2, and I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Feels like I'm still part of the fun. Anyways, you can see that the build orders are starting to reveal themselves, as Reviver is going for a double hatchery before a spawning pool, while CJ Enter's herO is opening up double gas gateway on the high ground, so very different than what he did on Kingside Young Station. We see his first probe is making his way across the map, and he's going to find Revival almost immediately. And with the spawning pool timing, as soon as the probe will see this hatchery in the natural, he can of course just go ahead and take a look in the main base as well, and then herO is good enough to realize, like, wait a minute, that spawning pool should have been done already, because this scout is pretty late. You're being even more greedy than this. You got another hatchery on the way. I really wonder if Revival does not drop an extractor in the next 20 seconds, if herO starts chrono boosting out cybernetics or warp gate technology. Like, there are many ways you can do this, and if I know herO, he will most likely just still get a Stargate, because that's just kind of what he does. But I really think that the best play right now is to chrono boost out warp gate technology and put on some 3 or 4 gateway pressure. I think that is going to be extremely difficult for Revival to deal with, because there is no creep spread at all connecting these bases. There is no speed on the way, so, you know, no Roach Warren for Roaches, no Zergling speed. How is he ever supposed to keep this base alive against 3 gateway pressure? I don't think it's possible, but alright, and herO is indeed chrono boosting out warp gate technology a little bit, and he's getting 2 extra gates in his main, so I love it, herO. I knew you were a Protoss to my heart. herO does switch it up a little bit. This is something that Revival has done often in the past. He gets some Roach Warren and both extractors down. This is how so many games between Revival and Huck have played out. Huck always trying to put the gateway pressure on this very greedy build from Revival. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. I think if you warp in Stalkers in the right time, you can start kiting those Roaches and it will work. Huck always gets Zealots, and Zealots are very good in killing the hatchery, not very good in killing the Roaches. Maybe with a good time warp, I don't know. It has gone back and forth. They have literally played against each other in multiple WCS seasons. Like, I've casted Huck Revival probably 3 times this year. And the first time Huck Revival won, but the last time Huck won, that's for sure. And the openings were very, very identical to what we are currently looking at. What? Okay, herO is doing it the Stalker way. I'm very happy to see this, because I've like had this speech already like 17 times where I think that Stalkers are really good right now, and then the Protoss always make Zealots, and I look really stupid. They're like, oh, rather than Movecaster, has no idea what he talks about, doesn't even play this game. Well, I have to admit, not very often lately, but that's going to change soon when I have my new PC. But I think this is so smart, because even when these Roaches pop, there is no creep connecting these bases, and Roaches off creep cannot fight Stalkers in this phase in the game. It's just not going to work. I have no idea what these sentries are doing over here, but you know, I guess I like it. He can drop 2 force fields on the ramp, and CJ Enter's herO is going to get a very, very easy kill on this hatchery. At least I think so. If he drops force fields, the Mothership Core is taking a lot of damage. He drops a time warp, will lose the Mothership Core. herO is not actually reinforcing this push. I really thought he was going to kill this hatchery, but he needs a few more units. He's getting 2 more Stalkers. Okay, the Stalker count is still 6 against 2, but there are 7 roaches on the way, so SeaGentis herO has to be a little bit careful right now about how he chooses to wipe in which unit. He's actually doing so much. I think he's almost like giving Revival the idea that he can save this hatchery just so he can kill a few more roaches. It's a sick play. Picks up another roach, gets a creep tumor there as well, and he will back up. And now we are looking at 36 workers for our Protoss against the 32 workers for our Zerg player on the other side of the map. And this is not a position you want to be in for if you are Revival. This is of course a little bit unfortunate that Revival, you know, played against this very quick gateway on the high ground, or not very quick, but like gate before Nexus. That's not something that's super common on Catalina, but his build is almost suicide, and I thought it was really smart how herO did this. Gives me the idea that SeaGentis herO knows Revival pretty well, which is not something I would have banked on, but this really seemed like a build that was specifically designed to deal with this gasless opening double hedge before pool of Revival. And his execution was, you know, the way that they read it in the Protoss book, Protoss Guidebook 101, how to punish Zerg greed. This is one of the scenarios, and I was really happy to see herO just do everything the way that I think it is the right thing to do. And to see him do so well with it. Units lost 23 for Revival, 1900 resources lost, of course, that hatchery as well. You know, 7 units lost for a herO. I did think he didn't have to lose the Mothership Core. I think that was a little bit unnecessary. And look at the follow-up. This is a very Maximus Black, Roddy, in control like follow-up, where he's getting 5 more gateways and he's just going to try to all in. He does have, of course, the Immort as well. And I don't mind this follow-up because it's so strong, and Revival was in such a bad economic position early on. But it surprises me to see herO do this, because herO is normally the guy that you know, would take his sweet time, especially Liquid herO, but even SeaGentis herO. But you know, with the Warp Prism, with the Observer, I think he's getting an Observer, right? Yeah. He's getting an Observer, he has 2 Immortals in the mix, he has a bunch of force fields. I don't really know how Revival is supposed to deal with this. He doesn't have the right amount of units right now. Army supply, it's way too close. If you're Revival normally in this phase in the tournament, and you want to somehow shut it, or in this phase in the game you want to shut this down, you need like a 30-40 army supply, 8% chance. The surround is good, but I'm afraid it's not going to make a difference. These Immortals are not going to die with this Warp Prism hovering above this army. He even picks up a Stalker as well. Cute micro there by SeaGentis herO. He's just going to wipe in a few more sentries, a few more zealots as well. And these Immortals, they'll bring the pain. And I'm afraid that this might be the end of Cooler Master Storm's Revival. Could have definitely used those WCS points. He had a phenomenal run in Season 1 of WCS, so I think he's still pretty high up there. But he would have loved to qualify for the main event. Get a couple of extra points going for himself. But I think this isn't there near impossible hold. 65 army supply for the Zerg against 71 for our Protoss player. A couple of roaches get picked off, force fields will get dropped. And Revival setting up the flank, but I don't know, I would love to say that this is going to get really close. If he gets the Immortals, then it's doable. If he gets the Immortals and then maybe gets an overseer and kills the Observer, I know that's a very far stretch, but hey, you know, I have to look on the bright side of life, trying to picture a world where it's possible. Counter-attacking is you know, never the worst, especially because I don't think there's even a fort for SeaGentis herO. Doesn't have a single upgrade, so no fort. So the counter-attack is an okay move. Might drag this game on a little longer. Is there a Mothership Core with this army? No, there's not. Is there a Mothership Core on the map? Yes, there is. So there will be at least 1 photon overcharge, and there could be a 2nd photon overcharge as well. I do kind of like this counter-attack move though, because I feel that it's better than nothing. That's better than just sitting at home and dying. So these are going to be enough, most likely not, but I kind of dig it. You're going to get the Nexus. Are there any probes? There's this Pylon, of course, as well. If I was SeaGentis herO, I would send the Warp Prism home. And I would pick up a couple of probes. Okay. Man. Freaking herO, he's so good. Like herO is like 7 seconds ahead of how my brain works. I don't even have the limited vision that he has in this game. Of course, being a caster is always a little easier than being a player. So Revival is going to pick up most of these workers in the main, but he must realize like, hey, I kind of expected a few more probes to be here. And I think now he already knows what time it is. herO's so smart, evacuating his probes. Makes it impossible for him to lose a base trade in this phase in the game. He has so many minerals as well, he could wipe in 2 Nexus at the same time. So really well done by him. And the Revival is just trying to imagine a world where you can somehow make this happen with 20 roaches that don't have burrow, that do have speed, and that don't have thundering claws either. Here. The Overlord spots it. I think Revival knows that this is impossible to win, but you still want to try. herO is going to pick up his 2 Immortals. He has somehow scouted this already, I guess with a Hallucinated Phoenix, because he has so many of the sentries as well. He can hallucinate Phoenixes for days, which makes it very, very easy to spot the hidden buildings around the map. And he doesn't even really need the Immortals anymore. I mean, you do want to keep him alive, but he doesn't need the Immortals to straight up fight these roaches when you have 12, 13 sentries in your army. So the Immortals will go to town on this hatchery in the left up side of the map. Again, the winner of this series will move on to play against Snoot. Snoot is waiting in the final round of the lower bracket. So it could be a rematch between herO and Snoot, and this time I will have the pleasure of actually being able to watch it, which will excite me, which makes me very, very happy. But for now, I'm afraid that this is it for Revival. Had a pretty okay run today. I defeated a couple of good players. It could have been worse, and there's absolutely no shame, absolutely I should say, no shame in losing against CJ Enter's herO. These Immortals, they could theoretically dance forever. I think herO is going to really enjoy this. If I know herO, he's going to try to win this game with these 2 Immortals. He needs to find the sweet spot to drop them and start chipping away at these roaches. He's actually bringing all of his units. He's tiny bit now, he leaves a few units. He leaves a Photon Overcharge behind as well. So even if Revival would somehow have like 16 or 18 Zerglings hidden on somewhere around the map, herO is still a save at home. You'd rather be safe than sorry when you know that you're about to advance into the final round of day 1 of the open bracket at the Intux Remasters in Toronto, and we all know that herO has a fantastic track record when it comes to IEMs. herO and Revival is just going to avoid his army. He's going to try to base trade. These roaches might be enough to fight this army and a Photon Overcharge. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it might theoretically be enough. But I think this is the last building of... is there any other building for Revival? Yes, drones, but he has nowhere to morph them into anything. And that's going to be it. GG.